Um, let's get one thing cleared, that when the question of quorum is talked about, it refers to a fully constituted council of NEC. Now, you can't say when you have 5 representatives of provinces, that means you are not fully constituted, then you base your quorum on that. The quorum must include 9. It says the Act says not fewer than 9 provincial representatives and not more than 18. And I'm sure it is deliberate that there should be the inclusion of provincial representatives. It is deliberate. It is purposed. It is not just to say, oh, we want the numbers. It is deliberate so that there is no province that feels left out. Now, having had 4 meetings, how many decisions did you take under this? Because I'm contesting the issue of quorum. I want to contest it and say it wasn't the quorum. Because you can't say when you have 5. The issue of quorum also looks at if there are 9 members who are registered to be members of the council, then they are absent in the meeting. That's what the quorum refers to, not non-existent members. 4 non-existent members, then you say, no, 5 is a quorum. 5 existent members, the quorum of 5 is 2.5. So I don't know when you speak of the quorum, whether you're referring to the members who were appointed by the minister in exclusion of what the Act says, that not fewer than 9 existing but maybe absent in that particular meeting. So let's clear that. Let's not get confused about that. Now, having said that, I want to know how many decisions you've taken in those meetings that you say they are a quorum. The second question will go to the department, the issue of realignment of provincial. Or maybe whilst I'm still on this issue of provincial representation, how do you verify the process, or it is to the department anyway, how do you verify the process taken by the provincial MEC to appoint or to elect? Because it says this particular representative must be elected by the public. I want to know, how do you verify the process of the election of that representative? And what constitutes the representation of a particular province? Because we have Vosile who represents Gauteng at NEC. And in the cluster, the Bosperad sectors cluster, he represents KZN. What constitutes that representation? Is it because you were born there, or is it because you are currently an active participator in the sector in that particular province, or is it because you know that province? The third one, it's the realignment, around the realignment of the provincial representatives. It says 3 years when the council, the minister's appointment, appointed councillors, it says 4 years. How are you going to deal with that? Because it seems like the representatives, their period will lapse before the term of the councillors. Ms. Julie Dipoff has been acting. For how long has she been acting as the CEO? And what are the intentions of NEC having a permanent? When can NEC have a permanent CEO? In every presentation, in most cases, it speaks of inadequate funding. Department of Arts and Culture, inadequate funding. But it will never say inadequate salaries, funding for salaries or operations. How many, to NEC, how many compulsory meetings that the council must have annually? And what are the reasons for the council to have more than the compulsory, if it has had compulsory? Because I've seen in a slide, there is 16, there's 14 times, there's 16. What creates that variation of meetings? And then for the department, you speak of the budget of 2024-25 being 124 million. 124 million point five, around that. 25-26, 127, 385. What informs the increase? Do you consider inflation in your increase? How is the increase of fuel is going to affect your budget? Is this actual increase or is it below the inflation if you consider the factors that I've mentioned? And with the AG findings,
please wrap up, honorable member.
The AG findings. What were the AG findings for 24-25? I mean 23-24. Because I think these ones are 24-25. What were the findings then? Was there any? Is there any indication of NEC having dealt with those issues? Because I think NEC has a tendency of not. I personally have had a practical experience, and I deliberately did this to show that NEC has got a tendency of not acting upon what it's supposed to. It waits until things have gone wrong, and then currently you have now